Hello, welcome to TTNT, Topics That Need Talking. I'm your host, Jess. Today's episode is going to be about adulting. When we're children, we always wanted to be adults. They have freedom, they can do as they please, no one's telling them what to do, to clean their room or do their chores. That they can just stay up late and eat whatever they want. That they have this sense of freedom we don't experience as children from our own eyes looking out. Then as soon as we become adults, we always want to revert back to children. We don't want the responsibilities we have now. We want someone else to care for us so we can have a more live-free lifestyle. We don't want to be an adult anymore. It's not as glamorous as we thought it was because how we were just raised, we only saw the good that adulting could bring, never the hardships that it took. Adulting is such a mystery. No one can prepare you for it. No matter how much advice you get, no one can prepare you for adulting. No one can. And adulting can start at different ages as well. Some people start very early because they were the oldest sibling or the middle sibling or even the youngest sibling. They had to care for their other siblings. Some start when they get their first job and all of a sudden, you have to pay the phone bill. You got to do your portion now. So now you're trying to keep track of how much you spend so that you can make your contribution per month. And then others, it hits them once they've hit 18. Now they just have these responsibilities upon them saying, okay, you need insurance. You need to do taxes. What are you going to do with your car? Keep up the oil change. What are you going to do for a living? Are you going to stay with your parents? Or are you going to be able to afford your own? All of this is now thrust upon you. It's never all bad. And we as adults can admit that. It's never all bad. But we always remember the bad more than we can the good, can't we? Adulting is just a roller coaster. It's harder to make friends as an adult, as I've stated in a previous podcast. It can bring on different forms of depression because you're not trying to rely on others, but then you're also scared to reach out for help. And then you can feel less like an adult if you try to compare yourself to either strangers or to your close friends. And you don't mean to do so, but we always do that. We want to be the best that we can. And that's not always possible. It's just how we are. The only way to really talk about adulting is to always bring up the hardships, to tell people, hey, you may always see the good in what I post and what I talk about and how I just act. But let me actually sit you down and tell you what may be in your future. And we always see those jokes on Facebook or any form of social media platform, saying how we wish that we were taught certain things in high school. And I'd stand by some of those. I wish that we were taught more about cars, like how to change your own oil or to change a tire. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't learn that until maybe a year ago from my mother because I had a flat tire. I wish I learned more about taxes in my math or government class, really, and understood how did that factor in. And when I mean taxes, I mean like how to do my taxes or go to the right companies that I could go for to do taxes for me, stuff like that. Wish I knew more about my surroundings and how rent played a contribution and the different levels of rent, how some necessities aren't included into the rent, those are separate bills, and just stuff like that. I wish I was taught that in high school, but it doesn't mean that because I learned it as an adult that I was late to the game. I'm not the only one that has been through that. It's mostly everyone that's an adult that ends up learning this stuff the hard way. Unconditionally, we compare ourselves to others who we think are doing it better, saying, well, how do they have a better handle on the adult game and I don't? Because no one's in the same lane going at the same speed. We can all be heading to the same destination, but I'm not going as fast, or I'm going too fast. I may be behind my friends, or I'm in front of my friends, or right in between. And even when I personally would talk to my friends, I'm always thankful that we're very honest with each other. That, yes, this is the good, but let me just vent or talk out the bad that comes with it. And we will always put things into a realistic form. We don't glamorize them. We don't put it down. We're just, no, here's the good and the bad. Learn from me and from the mistakes or the choices that I've made, not necessarily mistakes, but just learn from me. We're very good in that fact and that feat because not everyone is willing to open up about what is wrong. And then adulting can just be painful. You can look and go, I don't want to do any of this, but now that I'm this age, I have to do this in order to make sure that I'm in legal limits of whatever, or that I'm healthy, or that I'm doing everything correctly, because as an adult, I'm supposed to know what I'm doing, but I fully admit that I don't always know what I'm doing. And then there's a stigma if I don't do something, or if I don't know something when I should at this age, but at least I'm willing to learn. And sometimes people put down on that though you may not know how to do something or know what it is, but you are willing to learn, they look at you and could go, not all the time, why don't you know this? You should know this by now. How old are you? And we shouldn't put people down for that. Everyone learns differently. We don't know the environment that they grew up in, who raised them, or what was available to them at whatever age. We can just teach them saying, oh, no, that's fine. Let me explain it to you. We should never put people down for trying to learn something, even if it's considered late in the game. We should teach them so then, hey, I just expanded your world a little bit and possibly made something a lot easier. But as you get older, some of the bad in adulting is worrying about bills. If you're gonna be able to pay everything on time, let alone pay it, that's always a scary feature. Having to deal with insurance, whether for you or you and others, whether it be within your family or just adding someone, it doesn't have to be family, to your insurance plan and how you're going to be able to pay that. Worrying about your car if you drive and making sure that's all up to date and everything. And then managing your social life. It's a horrible balance with adulthood because it's never easy and things have to go sometimes. Or you are putting them on the back burner because you have to focus on this. And no one ever judges that, actually. Once they see, no, I had to put this aside in order to focus on this, everyone just nods because that is an unspoken rule. You will either give up an aspect in your life or put it to the back burner and get back to it when you can. Whether that be in a day, week, month, or year. You're going to try to get back to that. Everything is more expensive when you're an adult because we always took those prices when we're younger or even a teenager really for granted. Everything is way more expensive when you're an adult, so you really have to manage your money and make sure you still have enough not only to live, because we all want to do that. We all want to travel. We all want to just have happiness in our life. Some of us like shopping, some of us like movies or going out to eat or visiting friends. But you got to make sure you balance out the money and it's not as accessible as it was when we were younger. Traveling is harder because if you're working, you got to get the time off, and that's not always a guarantee. Going out to eat isn't always accessible anymore. You got to make sure your bills are all paid and you have a fridge stocked full of food in case you are hungry. And it's never just cookies and cakes anymore that we think when we're younger, saying, I'm going to have all the sweets I want. No. It's never that anymore. You actually got to have or try to have a balanced meal in your fridge. We can't always go out to the movies because what if we're working? What if it's expensive? Or what if I'm short? It's anything. Some things just take that back burner because something else came along and you need to focus on that instead. And then when we actually meet other adults that have been through the same thing that we've been through, we get so excited. We're so ecstatic that we're not just alone in this fact, that we actually have someone else to vent to or get advice from. But not everyone's willing to admit that they've been through those hardships when they should. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to hide. It's something that everyone's going through, and some people are more open than others. It's just not easy. And I'm not even trying to say that, oh, we should tell the youth, quote unquote youth, those still in K through 12. We need to tell them the truth. We need to prepare them. No. I'm actually very much against that. Don't rob them of their childhood. Don't rob them of the years of being a teenager. And I'm also not saying, don't tell them, let them learn how I did. Have that Greek organization mentality. Well, if I went through it, they got to go through it too. I'm also against that. I'm saying mostly be there when they have questions and answer them honestly, and don't be afraid to tell your own stories. Like for me personally, as an adult, I've always loved traveling. I've traveled majority of my life thanks to my mom and her love and sense of adventure. Then as I got older and I actually started realizing how much it took for my mom to take me and my family Though I'm now an adult going on my own, that is expensive, that it takes time, that it takes discipline to not spend that money, especially when bills are coming up. I pay bills now. I've always been paying them since I had a job, but I also didn't realize I was paying them because my mom took care of it. Now I'm doing it on my own end. So I got to make sure per pay period from my job that I'm setting aside money to make sure that my bills get paid on time, because I'm a stickler on that. Though when I know I can't pay it, I go to my mom and I'm very honest with her, and we try to figure out something to do to make sure that we do pay it. Hopefully on time. That's always the goal. Hopefully on time. I'm more tired. I don't know where the energy goes from a kid to an adult, but I'm way more tired than I was when I was younger. I could always do everything and have all the energy in the world. Now I'm tired at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but I'm wide awake at 3 a.m. Could be insomnia. It could just be me not understanding how energy works anymore as an adult. There's a lot of things that I had to backburn. Always have to backburn spending time with friends on my days off because I rather sleep. But then I force myself to go ahead and hang out with them. And I never regret making those decisions. I'm always very thankful that they are there for me to smile with instead of just being alone in my room sleeping the day away. And that's another thing you have to come to terms with. You have to force yourself to do certain things. Somehow it is so much fun to do nothing all of a sudden as an adult. When you're a kid or a teenager, doing nothing was the absolute worst thing in the world because you wasted a day. You could have done anything on that day. Gone to a friend's house, walked around the mall if that was what you were into, go to the park, anything. But you didn't. You wasted the day. As an adult, in my eyes and how I view it in my life, it is like a one-day vacation. It is fabulous to do nothing on one day. But you have to pick and choose when you do nothing. Do it too often, you fall into a slump, and you don't want to leave this slump because it's so comfortable. Don't do it enough, and you're not taking good self-care. You sometimes need that day of, I'm not leaving the house, or ordering takeout, and I'm going to throw on every movie that I either wanted to see or have seen, but they're my favorites, and I'm going to enjoy the day all on my own in the comfort of my pajamas. But now, I sometimes fall into that slump. I fully admit it. I fall into that slump of where I do nothing for. So then I would force myself to get up and go outside. It's summertime now. So I at least get up and go force myself to walk around the track to at least get some sun in me. Listen to some music. Hit up a friend saying, hey, do you want to just do something outside today? We don't have to do anything. We can just be outside. Something like that. I had to come to terms with, oh wow, even as an adult, I still gotta force myself to do things. Like how I would force myself in high school to do my chores when I really just wanted to be on the phone with my friends. Realization just comes as you get older. The more experiences you have, the more people you meet, the more stories you share. Adulting just becomes a little easier to manage, to understand, to live, mostly. No one ever says, oh, adulting is easy. You just gotta do these 3 things. No, it's never just 3 things. It's always more than 3 things. But no one's ever gonna say, it's the hardest thing in the world, because it doesn't have to be. You can always reach out for help. I wish I could give advice to all those who are going to become adults, but my journey in life is not the same as yours, and it will never be, because I am not you, or not me. We just got to be there for when we have questions and hoping someone has an answer that they are willing to tell us, and even a story to back up how they came to this realization to help us in our own life. You got to take the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to getting older, but always remember that there is beauty inside of it. It's going to be hard, but it doesn't have to stay hard. Just don't be afraid to use your voice. And that's adulting. You've been listening to TTNT, Topics That Need Talking with Jess. Next week's episode will be about living with your parents and the stigma about that. If you want to reach out to me, I have a Twitter if you want to create a discussion over there and just speak to me and see my thoughts on any other topic that either you think needs talking about or just want to talk about what was discussed in this episode. You can comment below and I'll see and respond to it, or like your comment to at least indicate that I read it. My Twitter handle is in the description below. Have a good day, you guys. Be happy and stay safe.